I
I
don't
don't
know.
think
Maybe if
that
we
one's
just
usually
had
on YouTube.
videos of cats messing with stuff in between our discussion, that might get more views.
It might. So, Cat, feel free. Mess
Can,
away. When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids, and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
Yes, I hope you're enjoying the roles, good looking people, because we want you to enjoy them all. Welcome back to Dads Meet World, your weekly deep dive into Boy Meets World, where two dads who have seen every episode forwards, backwards, inside out, and upside down like to look at it through the eyes of a couple of dads and see what we can learn as dads. I am dad number one, Brett, joined by his cat with dad number two.
yes, dad number two, Tyler, and joining us, of course, is Smokey.
Yes. Hi, Smokey. Smokey's happy.
Her and I both just heard something upstairs. We're very curious on it. You know, okay. This cat is supposed to be a single cat family. Like
Mm-hmm.
if she didn't have another cat in her life, she would be ecstatic. Potentially even like a quiet dog she could handle, but like she does not like either the other two cats, including the one she came with. She most definitely does not like Biggs. But like she's not aggressive. She just starts hissing and growling the moment cats get too close. She's not like attacking. She's just like, I defend myself. Stay away.
Well, Smokey, we're glad to have you on board.
Yes.
Tyler, how's life outside the cats?
There's not much life outside the cats. We're busy. Honestly, this is how inside of cats we are right now. For Sarah's Mother's Day gift this year, we went a little big because it's been a while, and I said, "Well, you have your options of small appliances we've been talking about," and so she got a litter robot.
Oh, so you went the Alan Matthews garbage disposal anniversary route.
Yeah, basically, but it was like we agreed on it. We picked it, and we agreed that Amazon will send it to us.
Not a
So
bad choice.
no, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, we've had it for now. I set it up last Saturday, so we're roughly almost a week into this thing. No, not even. Gosh, only a couple of days. No, when the heck did we get this thing? I don't know. Quit hounding me. We've had it for a few days. I have the app. It lets me know when a kitty cat visits to the bathroom. It's weird. It's my life. Outside of that, we also just got a new air fryer because my wife and I had our actual anniversary. So we were at Sam's Club and we saw an air fryer. We're like, ooh, that looks fancy and it's a good price. Let's get it. Yay, impulse buy.
Woohoo!
So, yeah. So literally it was our anniversary as of recording the day before. So on our anniversary, our pastor who married us came and did a magic show at our church. So we had a very romantic weekend of going on a date with our children at Applebee's and shopping at Sam's Club, and today finishing up at Walmart. So such a
There you go.
romantic weekend. And my wife and
The
I both
trifecta.
worked.
That's what anniversaries are all about these days.
Yes, working. I agree. Brett, how's it going with you? How's the getting closer to graduation going?
Well, as we record, we are less than 24. We're about 20 hours away from graduation.
That's so crazy. You guys go so fast.
Yeah, they
We got
do.
like a couple more weeks to go.
We had the award ceremony this morning, the final award ceremony this morning. Abby received the presidential award of academic excellence this morning.
Very nice.
So, smart cookie. She's also going to receive an honors diploma and will be graduating summa cum laude.
Very nice.
So, yes, very smart cookie. And it's making Kelly pretty weepy. And
Fair.
so we're getting ready, and then get ready for her graduation party this summer. So, as of tomorrow, we will have a graduate living in our house.
Very nice. We might have to have her on the next podcast just so we can ask her, does she feel different now?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to try. She won't have an excuse if I have to get up in the morning.
Yeah. And you'll have to tell me, will there be a surprise proposal out of nowhere?
There's definitely not going to be a surprise proposal.
Not for her, but for someone else.
Oh, I'll tell you if I see one.
Please do. I'm now super curious. How many surprise proposals happen in graduation ceremonies?
I'm sure there's some that happen after. I'm wondering how many there are that happen during.
Yeah. I mean, college is a huge one. I know that for sure.
Oh, yes.
It's
High
like
school,
you get the diploma and propose at the same time. I almost did that myself for my wife, but I couldn't wait any longer.
I was married 4 months before I got my diploma, so
1 year.
Well, let's talk about some other college students who were working on their diplomas, shall we?
If you can call them students, sure.
Well, they don't do much time in class this week, but we're going to look at the 8th episode of season 6. You're married, you're dead. So to prove he's still one of the guys, quotation marks there, despite being engaged, Cory goes to a bikini club with scantily clad waitresses where he loses his engagement ring. Again, I don't write these. I copy and paste these. He didn't lose it. He took it off. And desperately tries to keep Topanga from finding out. Meanwhile, Rachel, currently working on a term paper dealing with how women influence male bonding, observes Eric and Jack's off-the-wall behavior with cool amusement. This episode was written by Gary H. Miller, directed by Jeff McCracken, originally aired November 13th, 1998, and currently enjoys a 7.2 IMDb rating. That's a 1.5 lower than our last episode, and currently sits in 21st place on the season. Yes, 21st place out of 22 episodes.
Fair.
Yeah, let that sink in. Now, Tyler, our last week's episode was the high mark of the season, 13.99, highest viewership of the season. How far of a tumble do you think we took with this one?
I mean, we know this show, Brett. We got to go back down to the 11 million.
No, you're right in there. It's 11.88 million.
That's not bad. It's closer to 12 than I thought.
Yep. We only lost just over 2 million. Yeah. We're still November sweeps though, so
fair.
Yeah. But let's get right into it. We're gonna go right into Shawn's poker game with Louie and Gamblin' Dan. Let's get these guys out of the way first.
Please do.
Louie is played by Shawn Weiss. First of 2 times we'll see him on Boy Meets World. Next time he's going to be hanging around Eric. 40 acting credits to his name. Charles in Charge. I know him most from the Mighty Ducks franchise as Goldberg.
That's what I thought.
Heavyweights, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Saved by the Bell, The New Class, Freaks and Geeks, The King of Queens, Drillbit Taylor, and more. Gambling Dan, meanwhile, is played by Phil Buckman. The only time we'll see him on Boy Meets World, 51 acting credits to his name. Played on shows like Days of Our Lives, Roseanne, Blossom, Frasier, Sister Sister, Smart Guy, Seventh Heaven, Max Steel, Boston Public, Mom, The Pit, and more. So he is still actively in the game.
Very nice.
Yeah, I just saw him on The Pit a few weeks ago. Did not recognize him at all now that I look back at it, but he was there.
Yeah, fair.
He was on for a 1 episode stint. He was a minor guests. So,
Hmm.
so Shawn's playing a card game in the dorm room. He's trying to bluff Gambling Dan out of some money, and he's good, but not good enough. But he's good enough that Gambling Dan wants to hang out with him more. So Gambling Dan invites him to come along, and don't bring the major, who we discover is Cory, which we also learn is shorthand for Major Virgin, because it's cool to make fun of guys who have not had sex.
Yeah. Brett, can we be honest for a second?
Oh, let's.
This storyline feels like it's meant to be at John Adams High.
Mm-hmm. This is a high school storyline,
Yeah,
period.
through and through. Like everything about this says high school.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they're making fun because he's a virgin. Yeah, I get it. You're in college and you're a virgin. Haha, that's funny. But like that feels like a very much a high school thing to make fun of.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're in college, you're hanging out with people. You are personally hanging out with people that you want to interact with, and you only don't interact with people that you don't want to interact with. And so, for someone to have a nickname for you in college that's negative does not track for my experience in college. Because even those who were kind of jerks and you didn't want to be around, you just didn't be around them.
Mm-hmm.
High school, you didn't have much of a choice, but college, you have choices.
Yeah. Now let's play this out a little bit. Let's give the writers a little bit of leeway.
All right.
Gambling Dan is an attempt at a Harley Kiner character who will give nicknames to character like
Sure.
Baboon. He's the major.
Yeah.
He had a virgin support group that the other guy dropped out of.
But
It's
okay, I get the joke, but again,
it's-
you would still have more people in that group.
yes, but it's a very high school plot thread that it doesn't track. They really could have found something better to separate Cory from Gambling Dan with. I mean, Gambling Dan is a single guy who apparently lives a little dangerously and clearly is not from the same path that Cory walks. There's a lot of things that he could have that are differently, or that are set apart, that he could pick on Cory for. Shawn is clearly still looking and trying to find himself in college here.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to break up with Angela and see other people to find himself for whatever reason that he feels that he needs to reinvent himself.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Gambling Dan and the incredibly annoying parrot Louie is who he's hanging out with.
Mm-hmm. Which, Brett, uh, headcanon for a moment. Was
All right.
potential headcanon. Gambling Dan is not a college student. He might, similar to a Harley Kiner, he may be around there, he might show up, but he's not an actual college student.
Okay.
That's the only way I can justify this because, A, if you have a nickname / reputation, why are you with freshmen other than to take advantage of them? And B, if you are hanging out with freshmen, you're more of a loser than anything else, unless you're an RA. I don't think he'd be an RA with the name Gambling Dan.
He certainly wouldn't be in that position very long with what he's doing.
Uh huh. And, I understand that not every single university has rules like our school had, Brett, but there still is limitations on the things you can and cannot do in the dorm rooms. And some schools would have potentially a more morality clause of, hey, no gambling in your dorm room or on campus or whatever.
Yeah.
People will still
And
break in.
1998, I could see a school like Pembroke probably going far enough to say no gambling on campus. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the premise of this episode bothers me so.
Yeah, it does me too. Well, anyway, Gambling Dan has invited Shawn to hang out with him at Cleaváge.
Yes, very clever.
We'll get to that later. Yes. And don't bring the major. And they leave. We'll kick them out of the room. We'll just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Cory remembers he's engaged this week. Topanga's not just his girlfriend.
Yes.
And sorry. I'm reading through my notes. Major virgin is not what it is. It's major wuss because he's a virgin.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing in the long run. But Shawn's putting down Cory for being so busy with Topanga and likening the engagement ring that he wears to a ring through his nose that's attached to a chain, basically. And they have this back and forth where Cory is still convinced that Shawn is with Angela.
Yeah.
And he demands his own invite to go to Cleaváge with Shawn and the guys because he wants to be seen as one of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
But Shawn does something that's actually very level-headed here, where he points out that he and Cory are very completely different relationship situations. Cory's engaged. Shawn is single. Cory, the engaged guy, doesn't necessarily fit in with all of these Gambling Dan single guys. They're different puzzle pieces.
I mean, Shawn is not wrong for pointing this out to his friend that they're in different phases. They were in similar phases of both having girlfriends that they said I love you to, both wanting commitment, but Cory has proven that he is more attached to Topanga than Shawn is willing to be with Angela.
Yep.
But I will say again, this is a moment where Shawn is a bad friend.
That's the new shirt.
In
Shawn's a bad friend.
I don't know, the span of 2 months, 4 months, he went from marry her, you gotta marry her, to you're engaged, you're always with your fiance, you're whipped, and
you're engaged, you're dead.
Right. Jeez. And it's like, you are the one that said marry her. What do you think that would have meant for your friendship?
Yeah. Forward thinking, not the strongest for adolescence.
No, I know that for sure. I mean, this is probably the real era of awkward, angsty teenagerness that this last season was missing. Last season, they were like, we are adults. We don't go to school. And this season, they're like, we're in college and we're having high school problems.
Oh, yeah. They got them reversed. They really
do. They really, really do. I mean, but yet again, Brett, last episode, what happened? Topanga was assaulted.
Mm-hmm. This episode, Cory wants to go to a bikini bar.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
And also, Shawn is essentially talking down about Topanga as well. Like, trying to make it sound like she is taking away from Cory.
Yeah, he really is lessening their relationship by looking down upon it the way he is.
Yeah. So you agree.
So yeah,
Shawn is the worst.
Shawn's being a bad friend. Shawn's the worst. There's our new shirt.
There it is.
Shawn's the worst.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about Eric and Jack.
Get me out of the scene, Brett. I can't handle it anymore.
All right. Well, let's talk about Eric and Jack. They have a little better subplot going on, because at least that goes along. Eric and Jack are finally through their whole let's fight for Rachel's affection phase. They've gotten through that. They've gotten through, we have to be mannerly and completely upright and everything while we're around her. Now they're in this phase where they have to hide everything from her, and they have to figure out how to sneak around. It's kind of an extension of that being mannerly. And I clipped I clipped a little bit of this here for us to watch, just because it's fun.
Where you going?
Nothing. You have no way to judge us. Yeah, why are you asking so many questions? We're not hounding you about what you're doing.
Oh, I'm doing a midterm paper on the influence of women on male bonding.
There isn't any. Yeah, males were bonding on this planet long before women ever arrived.
This paper's worth half my grade. I've been praying to come up with a specific case that I could observe, but so far I haven't.
Look, we're just going out, okay? We're men, doing what men do. And you know something? Quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of all the scrutiny, the badgering, the nitpicking. It's gotta stop. Don't ask us when we're coming home either. Quite frankly, it's none of your business. Yeah. Because we're in college now, huh? You know that? We're in college. Yeah. You're not the boss of us. Huh? Nag, 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 nag.
Thank you.
It kind of feels they went in the opposite. Before it was like how to be prim and proper in front of her, and now it's like, you can't tell us what to do. We don't have to listen to you.
Oh yes, the pendulum swung too far. They overcorrected.
But can you believe, Brett, how gross they made Rachel look? I mean, they had glasses on her. Like in the 90s, a woman wearing glasses is basically like saying, look, she has a brain.
Old bag
and
lady.
Gross.
Yes, that's old.
Like if her hair was a little bit longer, they could have put a ponytail in, and then my gosh, like horrific.
It would have been completely unattractive girl territory.
And you'd be like, who is this woman? It's not Rachel.
Oh, yes. But here we have Eric and Jack. They're trying to sneak around so they can go do their male bonding stuff away from the prying eyes. And Rachel's got her term paper idea.
Yeah, she's barely just going to follow them.
I love it when a plan comes together, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. But out in the hallway, Eric's talking to Jack about female intuition, man. They sense when we're about to do something fun and they try to spoil it.
Do you like how they both act like they've been in long-term relationships, like with someone who's like the worst human being ever?
Yeah. Like a Desiree for more than a week.
Yeah. Desiree Beaumont.
I wonder how many of Desiree's Jack has dated in his life.
I believe quite a few. You know what? I wish they would have brought back a Desiree Beaumont or someone from his past and could have seen how smart Eric was for being in college.
That would have been fun. But we didn't get that.
No, we can't have good things, Brett.
So let's go over to the Cleaváge. Yes, the Hooters analog.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything else to describe it other than it's a substitute for Hooters because they make it feel like it's a local place, but on the same token, the way they talk about it, world famous would indicate of potentially it's a brand.
Bigger than just Philly if it's world famous. Yeah, Cory's got a real problem with Gambling Dan thinking he's married. But why? He wants to be married. He's always wanted to be married. So what's his problem with Gambling Dan thinking he's married?
Gambling Dan's cool, Brad. What can I tell you?
I mean, here's where it really falls apart too. I mean, of course, it's barely being held together with spit and duct tape anyway. Cory has told Shawn that Gambling Dan is not the type of person that Shawn should be hanging out with.
Uh-huh.
But Cory is trying desperately to impress Gambling Dan, and Cory wants Gambling Dan's approval to the point where Cory who wants nothing more than anything to be married, is bothered that Gambling Dan makes fun of him for being married already.
Mm-hmm.
It just the internal logic is just lost.
Cory has no real motivation this episode.
He really doesn't. And his I know for an 18-year-old that at times logic can be lost easily, but Cory never gets within the neighborhood of logic in this one. It's bad.
Yeah. Well, and I was walking the dog and I was thinking about this episode. I do have a rewrite that I think would help this episode.
Do you want to give that now, or do you want to give it later?
We'll give it later.
Okay. Well, Cory's going to get introduced to a waitress by the name of Terry, played by Adra Tenner. Only time we'll see her on Boy Meets World. 61 acting credits on shows like Step by Step.
Step by step, day by
day. Touched by an Angel,
Day by
Friends, Jag, Criminal Minds, Monk, The Mentalist, Mad Men, SWAT, and more. And, I do say I admire Cory's conviction for averting his eyes from Joan.
Mm-hmm.
For being as committed to Topanga as he is, and not even willing to look at her while she's sitting on his lap and staring up at the ceiling. It's a nice ceiling, kudos to him for being that committed.
Yeah.
You don't see that a lot. You don't see that celebrated. And not even, Shawn forces his head at least to look her in the eyes.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, on the plus side for the episode, kudos to Cory for being that committed to his fiance. They get Cory up to do some dancing, right? Yeah. Where Cory mistakes Joan. Not Terry, Joan. Okay, yeah, I had the wrong name. Joan for Topanga. And wants to stab his eyes out because he feels like he's betrayed Topanga.
Well, of course.
Now I'm on track. Yeah. So, yeah, more kudos to the writers for at least keeping some consistency with Cory's character of being committed to Topanga.
Mm-hmm.
And Shawn steps in to stop him. Okay, good on Shawn. But Shawn's worried for Cory's reputation, and he convinces Cory to take off the ring because it's strangling him. But Cory doesn't feel like Shawn belongs at Cleaváge. So why don't they just leave? Because we got to keep him there.
Basic.
So you see, we've got so many different threads here that are just swaying around in the breeze. It's just Cory and Shawn are just not on the same wavelength.
The writers are working real hard to have a cause and effect. It's like they know the argument they want Cory and Topanga to have. They know the resolve, but to get there is harder.
Yeah, and they have a nice little line here about who is it that would be here at Cleaváge when he's trying to convince Shawn to leave. I don't feel like I belong here. I don't feel like you belong here. I don't even feel like Eric belongs here. Okay, maybe Eric, because he turns around and he sees Eric and Jack.
In fairness, though, those two are arguably probably 21 at this moment, though.
They have to be.
So
Yeah, they have to be.
two 21-year-old guys being in a bar.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
they
Eric
should
and
be there.
Jack's, as odd as it might sound, this actually is somewhere that you could see Eric and Jack come and hang out, get some chow.
Yeah.
So Cory goes over, talks to Eric, and yeah, by the way, points out, hey, Rachel's over there. And fun time is over for Eric and Jack.
Mm-hmm. They can't have fun with their roommate there.
They can't have fun with Rachel at Cleaváge. And then we're done at Cleaváge for now.
Yes. But Brett, can we just be honest for a moment? The actresses, the characters have basically sports bras and short shorts on. But they're wearing way more than women like in at like the beach.
Yeah,
or at pools. Like there's
the write-ups call it a bikini bar, but it's not.
Yeah, it's scantily clad, not really. But yeah, they're
it's
supposed to be in a more sexualized
it's less than on campus,
business.
But yeah, I mean, is it sexualized? Yes, because it's sports bras and bike shorts. But is it more than you'd see at the beach, like you said? Yes, it's more than that.
Yeah. So I mean, nothing. I mean, the girls sit on their laps, okay, and there's only men in the room. I get that, but like,
yeah, I don't see any women frequenting for their burgers and wings.
I mean, John Taffer says it all the time. If you can't have girls or women at your restaurant, you're not going to have as much business.
Yeah. And this was a very 1998. This is a men's type of restaurant to go to. Yeah. There are some words we could throw around about that, but
sounds like the patriarchy, man.
To figure it. I was waiting for that. Oh yeah.
Listen,
if I had the time, I'd go back and pull that episode and pull that quote and just put it in the soundboard, but I don't remember which episode that was from.
That's okay. Yeah, basketball's dead at this point, and so is the understanding of what it means to be engaged.
Yeah. Well, let's leave Cleaváge and come back to the dorm, where Cory and Shawn are going to lie about where they've been. They went to see Babe, Pig in the City.
Yeah, Shawn lies. Not Cory, yeah. Shawn.
Not Cory, Shawn.
The one who doesn't have to answer to anybody, Shawn.
Does he lie for Cory's benefit or for his own?
Well, it's for his benefit. He doesn't want his ex-girlfriend to know he went somewhere scandalous.
Yeah.
Well, especially the way that Angela responds later on to it.
Mm-hmm.
He would know that Angela would not approve of him being there.
Oh, yeah. He knows already. Do you have anything about Babe, Pig in the City in your fun facts?
No, but I can.
I was just going to say, Babe, Pig in the City was not out when this episode aired.
I believe it's so funny.
It didn't come out until like a week or so after this.
Well, they probably didn't know when it was going to air, I guess.
Yeah. But then Cory can't keep up the lie. He lets it slip. They went to Cleaváge. Angela's disgusted. Shawn follows her in her room. Cory wants to stay in the hallway and talk where there's more light, but Topanga has other ideas, and we get to the second clip I have.
Cory here is fine.
Cory, why?
Before you say anything, I just want to state that as a man, I am entitled to certain rights and privileges.
I understand.
So as a man, I went with other men and did man things because I do not want to be thought of by those men as, how do I put this delicately?
Whipped?
You could at least let me say it.
Cory, I'm not mad at you.
But you're disappointed in me.
I understand your need to be one of the guys. The only thing that's important to me is that we are always honest with each other, okay?
You're not just being understanding now, but actually harboring bitterness and resentment that will fester over the years into one that you hack me apart in my sleep, right?
No, Cory, that would be wrong.
Yeah, because you don't go around hacking people, right?
No, you don't.
So let me ask you this. You think of me as my own man, so I can do anything I want.
I trust you, Cory. Do whatever you want.
Good-looking people, especially the good-looking guys, if you ever start an argument with "as a man," you've already lost your argument.
What are you talking about, Brett? He went with guys to do guy things.
If you're justifying your argument with "as a man," you've already lost your argument.
I will say, I like how he's trying to, like, you're not going to do this, right? Where you resent this and you build it up and then you try to hack me in my sleep. This is literally, this is crazy man's, Chekhov crazy man, essentially.
He takes us to the furthest it could go.
That would be wrong. Yeah, I mean,
That would
Topanga
be
is
wrong.
very reasonable in this scene. Like, way more reasonable than she should be.
She is, yeah. I mean, granted, you know, if we're gonna gradiate things, no, Cory. It's not like Cory and Shawn went to a strip club
Mhm.
and then lied about it. Cory was honest. His guilt would not let him lie. He said exactly where they went. Wasn't the greatest place, but she's very calm. She's very centered.
Mhm.
And she's very willing to listen. And she wants him to be himself. She wants him to have the freedom to make the right choice. And there's a long been a question out there. Did she lay a trap for him, or was this just her letting him come to the realization that there is a right and a wrong choice?
Mhm.
I'd say she just let him come to the realization there are things that you shouldn't do when you're engaged, when you're married. There are
Yeah.
places you should go, places you shouldn't go, that you shouldn't need to go, things you shouldn't need to do.
Well, I mean, even if we go to Hooters for an example, Brett, I personally have never eaten at a Hooters, but I've never felt the need to go eat at a Hooters. But there are people who it's a place they like to go to eat because they like the food, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're going there just to stare at women who are in their skimpy, wardrobe, that's on you. Um, I wouldn't look down on someone who would decide to go in there. If you go in there with the express purpose of making women uncomfortable, you're a horrible person, in my view, regardless of how they are dressed. But yeah, the way they act is if they went to a strip club. They did not go to a strip club.
And if we were not in 9:00 Friday night ABC, maybe they would have gone to something a little more risque than Cleaváge.
Right.
Maybe this is their analog for going out to a strip club. Who knows?
Maybe. But it's a lot more tame for the intensity and emotions that everyone has.
It is. Especially for the jaw drop face that Topanga gives later.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. So let's cut to the co-ed bathroom where Topanga and Angela are discussing why it's so disgusting for women to work at a place like Cleaváge. It's clearly women who have been abused and It's women who look down on themselves. No self-respecting women would ever work there. Well, no. Joan does.
Mm-hmm.
And Joan comes out. Joan is played by Claire Salstrom. Joan's a cook there. It's the only time we'll see her in Boy Meets World. 25 acting credits, Saved by the Bell, The New Class, Silk Stockings, Seventh Heaven, and more. And she offers to take them to Cleaváge to show them what it's all about. So we're going to go to Cleaváge, where everyone's going to be there. Eric and Jack are there, not having fun, because Rachel's there, sitting at the table with them, and Eric and Jack are totally inhibited. They're being forced to hold themselves to a higher standard of morality. They've got girls on their lap who are they're just it's quite humorous to watch them try to contain themselves, I guess, at the same time as I really just wish you'd give me my food.
Tuna on white. Cut them in the triangles like my mommy did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do like this little innocent storyline, essentially, of Rachel trying to understand the boys better and the way they relate to each other and the way they are friends. And
Yeah.
like, it's just understanding it's just something she won't fully grasp and really comprehend, but she's going to try.
Yeah. And it's going to give her great fodder for her paper.
Mm-hmm.
But she agrees to leave them alone, and she's going to slink off into the night. But at least, the guys aren't going to know that she's going to be around close enough to watch them. They think she's leaving altogether.
Of course.
Cory comes running in. He's looking for the lost and found. He eventually winds back up over at a counter with Terry, the waitress who was on his lap the day previous, because he's looking for the wedding ring that just happens to come off. And she has some audible disdain when she talks about maybe it's with all the other rings that just happen to come off.
Mm-hmm.
And she dumps them all out on the counter. And he starts looking for them just as the world-famous Tushie dance starts, where everyone pushes tables back and gets out on the floor and starts shaking their tushies. Just as Topanga arrives with the girls, just as Cory finds his ring and starts dancing in celebration, and Topanga sees Cory dancing in celebration and has a horrified look on her face, comes and takes the ring, leaves. Cory has to chase her. We don't get to see Eric and Jack's celebration. We see a little bit of it. We see Rachel watching from a distance. And the next thing we know, we have the student union, and we're back with Cory and Topanga. And Cory trying to defend his decision to take off his ring is just utterly ridiculous. I can't get behind his defense at all. He wanted the ring. He demanded a ring for himself. And he can't give a cogent defense for why he would need to take it off at any point ever. He doesn't understand the importance of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't understand the symbolism behind the ring. He's got to have Topanga here explain to him the importance of an engagement ring, which is kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
That he's here. He's been engaged for 2, 3, we'll say 4 months.
Yeah.
Maybe 5. And he's just now learning the symbolism behind the ring.
Yeah.
But I do like how Topanga describes it. It symbolizes that I have someone who cares about me. because
Mhm.
there's a lot of people out there who want that, who want
Yep.
to have what you have. And she's right. Wear the ring or don't. You don't wear it and take it off when you don't want to wear it. You wear it or you don't wear it.
Mhm. Well, I'll talk about the second visit to Cleaváge, of course. But I mean, before that, I'm picking up what you're shuffling, Brett. Because I mean, I like that Topanga makes it clear of decide what you want to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Decide what that means to you. Because either you wear it and it means something to you, or you don't wear it and it doesn't mean anything to you. But you are the one that puts value on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I'll be honest, Brett, I don't wear my wedding band. It's not because I don't want to wear my band. It's not because I don't respect the band. It's because my fingers have gotten a little fatter since getting married and doing work on the house. I feared I'd lose a finger, so I talked over my wife and said, "Hey, I'm going to take this off. Is that okay with you?" And she said, "Yeah, as long as you're still married to me and still doing all the things you're supposed to be doing." So, you know, things change, and the importance of the thing, it doesn't make it less important. It just makes it less like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it has to be this way. So, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Brent?
I agree with you. It's okay.
Um, I I do like how I appreciate the waitress being annoyed of like, oh yeah, just another guy who just happened to lose his wing.
Yeah. It's a subtle piece of her performance, but it comes through loud and clear.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that I mean the whole purpose is to set up the fact that Cory and Topanga meet each other at this place, and they're both disgusted that they see each other there. But I mean, what did Topanga expect when she went there? She was gonna see somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did say he was never going back again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. Let's just play this out for a moment, Brett. If she walks in and just sees her soon-to-be brother-in-law Eric and his best friend Jack, would she not still be awkward, and would they not act the same way they would act in front of Rachel?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a matter of changing it from a couple fight to awkward encounter at a place that it shouldn't be. So I don't know. I do like the fight that the two of them get into next. Hi.
Yeah. And the other thing that the episode does broadcast that is worth mentioning is Shawn's mental state.
Mm-hmm.
I find it deeply sad that Shawn's alternative, because Gambling Dan offers Cory to come hang out with him again anytime
Mm-hmm.
at the next poker game. It's an open invite. Shawn is invited to hang out with Cory and Topanga anytime. And Shawn's alternative to hanging out with Gambling Dan and Louie is sleep. Because he tells Cory and Topanga, well, Cory asked me, you're going to go hang out with those guys? Well, yeah, what else am I going to do? Sleep? I mean, he's so lonely that his alternative is just to go to his room and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's pushed away Angela. He's feeling like too much of a third wheel with Cory and Topanga. He's forced himself into exile, basically.
Yep. I don't know. I mean, I think what I like about in this argument is Topanga is very firm and very direct on where she stands on this whole thing.
Yeah.
And Cory is wishy washy. it does lead to the Cory is choosing her. But the fact is that Shawn still kind of isn't choosing his real friendships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's just as uncertain as Cory is when it comes down to it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Cory does choose Topanga, but he still has that back and forth.
He does.
Well, what if I take it off?
Right. I like how he's like, and if I decide to take it off, she's like, no. Wear it or don't.
Yep. Yeah, Cory's looking for that back door. He's testing those boundaries. He's not just willing to dive in head first and just be like, all right, here it is. He's got to see where those boundaries are.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn's just unsure. He's trying to find where all those boundaries are. He's not willing to jump in. Period.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I feel like this episode ends on such a weird note.
It does, especially if we go to a tag with upbeat music. We end on such a sad note, and we end with 30 seconds of upbeat guitar riff.
Mm-hmm. Could have used a nice Eric Jack tag.
Yeah, I mean, come on. 30 seconds of Eric and Jack doing the Tushie dance.
And I don't know. I just don't know, Brett.
All right. Well, tell me your rewrite that you have in mind.
Oh yes. So my rewrite. It bothers me that it's just, hey, they just both end up meeting each other there, and they're both upset with each other. My rewrite is as we've talked about before. Cory is working at his father's store.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe
wait, Alan has a store?
One day a week he's working there, maybe, or he does the books in the back. He goes in for a couple hours, yada yada. But he's working enough so, like, they are building up a little nest for themselves, a little goose egg or whatever you want to call it, and giving them some cash for them to be able to have for the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Topanga wants to help in that, Brett. And so Topanga decides that she's going to take a job where she works once a week and it pays well. And all Cory knows is, well, Topanga's a smart girl, so she's going to take a job where she gets to be around other smart people. Not realizing that for the past couple of weeks or a month, she's been working at Cleaváge. So when Cory goes to be with the guys, who does he run into, Brett? Topanga. Which means they both then have a moral obligation, a moral dilemma. Because right now, Topanga is on a high ground and she's pushing him down, using her lightsaber to chop off his legs. And I kind of wish there was a moral dilemma for Topanga also to work out.
Yeah, it would definitely give her more to work with. That's for sure.
Because right now, the way they end it is Cory is choosing to spend time with his girlfriend instead of half-naked women. He makes that choice all the time. But could Topanga keep working there if her boyfriend wouldn't approve? And why didn't she tell him initially? And yada yada. And why was Cory there?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
That would be a much better conflict.
Would. Tied into the fact that after the whole Stewart thing, she wanted more control of herself. Trying to understand who she is. I don't know. Something, Brett.
Yeah.
Not like trying to rewrite a show 30 years later.
I like it.
Thank you.
Well, that's our episode. Do you have any deep dives?
Yeah.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Babe Pig in the City was released November 25th, 1998. Like a week after this episode aired.
Yep.
And then
12 days later.
budget of 80 million and ended up making 90 million, which is not a great return. I honestly can't tell you anything about it. I don't remember it, I guess is the way I should say it.
I
Babe
didn't see it.
accidentally puts Farmer Haggett in traction. The debtor come to their looking for their payment. In order to pay their debt, Mr. Haggett sends Babe Babe off across the ocean to see demonstrate his talent as a sheep herder along with the friends Boy Meets World now. Sorry, Boy Meets World. Babes meets a lot new friends and gets into adventure. Alrighty. Oh, Ellie. Because you said that the actress's last name was Penner, and there's a famous Survivor player / actor whose last name is Penner. So,
Tenor, Tennor.
Okay. Then I just heard what I wanted to hear.
Oh, well, there we go then.
Okay. Well, the first thing is he mentions about reading his face because he's, got to tell. And so tells Brett are basically it's something that a player will do a lot of times unintentionally to indicate something very important about the situation they're in, especially not including gambling. So fun. So these are the 5 common tells in poker. People don't make eye contact with you. Time, this is the disruption in time to act. Handing the chips or cards, achievementness, and table talk. Cosmopolitan, the magazine, interviewed a former employee of Hooters. Kind of talk about her experience, and I will share it with Brett so he can see, and also we want to add that. Yeah, basically, she went through in the article and talked about how she quite enjoyed it. It was a good experience for her, yada yada, and hasn't really dealt with a lot of the issues that typically come in that type of work. Um, but this person also doing it made clear they're a very hard worker, so they may have had a bit of an advantage. So, Brett, the history and origins of men wearing wedding and engagement rings. While wedding rings became, or sorry, dates wedding rings date back to 5,000 years ago. Men began wearing them to symbolize their maturity, mature status, and mind. Mid 20th century. This was the product of generations of wartime preparations, consuming capitalism, and various other social, economic, and historical circumstances. Cool. So, for engagement rings, comparing them to wedding rings, though rings have been worn for centuries, men did not wear engagement rings until much later. Early on, the rings became popular as such a way to signify wealth and power in land leadership. As a result of steal, importance to document and correspondence at the time of progress, right before becoming right, rings become a way to easily identify married couples. Many people think that men never wear engagement rings. However, there are no rules that state that they cannot. If a male or woman want to symbolize their devotion to one another, there's nothing stopping uh, them. So, in conclusion, what I found is there's no clear date of when it started. It's just now more popular. Um, that was about Hooters. I really don't want to talk about them again. Basically, in the '90s, we were obsessed with Hooters. I don't understand why, but it was a big deal. It was in so many shows. A lot of Adam Sandler movies will reference Hooters, so it was in the zeitgeist at the time. It's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And people overreacted for no good reason, and Gambling Dan should not be his name.
Amen.
That's all I got for deep dives, Brett. I don't got much. Sorry.
That's fine. Let's talk about what we've learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
What did we learn this week? I don't have a lot. Good looking people, good looking men. Don't start an argument with as a man. There's not a lot to mine from this episode.
No.
There's really not. So we have an episode with no Feeney, no Alan, no Amy. We have an episode with no real teaching going on.
Yeah, no real guidance.
No, we have an episode with let's figure things out on our own, and it shows. And their lesson learned is not a very strong lesson. So there you go. Don't start an argument with as a man. Tyler, what did you learn from this episode?
I learned to recognize when your friend is no longer really your friend, and it's just transitioned into a different role. You know, my wife went through this a little bit with one of her roommates in college because she was really good friends with, and they were roommates at one point, and then they weren't roommates again, and they were like, let's be roommates again our senior year, and then they just stopped being friends. And she was just like, I don't know what happened, but we're just not really close anymore. So, just it's okay to have a season where you let a friendship go. And I think for the show, you have to have Shawn, of course, but it really wouldn't have surprised me if Shawn had left the show, and could Cory survive without Shawn?
We might get a small peek at that.
We have a small peek at it. It doesn't go well.
Yeah. Well,
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
how do you grade You're Married, You're Dead, Tyler?
C minus. It's just such an average and below expectations. And last week we had a very well-rounded episode. And in the past couple episodes, I know you haven't been as much of a fan of, but still, there's been either comedy gold or really good points made. Something that the show is trying to say, and this episode said nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we continue on. Shawn's a really bad friend, and why is Cory still friends with Shawn? Because clearly Shawn doesn't want to be Cory's friend anymore.
Yeah. Well, this one you got Shawn's a bad friend. You got Gambling Dan. You got no Feeney, no Alan, no Amy, no Morgan. You got bad storytelling. You got poor leaps in logic. You've got so many just. I mean, we spent 45 minutes talking about how poorly structured this episode is. I'm giving it this season's first F.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Brett, if this season as a whole wasn't so embedded into my memory, like it's one of those things that the Tushie dance I will always find funny, and I remember this episode as a kid and knowing that silly things were happening. But yeah, no, it's well deserved.
Yeah. Well, we can always hope for better next week.
Hopefully, and probably when you edit the sucker down, we might be under an hour.
We might be. Well, let's see. I owe you a couple of dad jokes before we get out of here.
Dude, give it to me.
All right. So, 5 ants rented an apartment with another 5 ants. Now, they're 10 ants.
Very nice.
But
okay, that does remind me of the when they were doing the punny insurance commercials, and I love so much the now we have ants. Expired. Are you really gonna eat that?
That's just one of my favorites. A truck loaded with Vicks Vapor Rub overturned on the highway. Amazingly, there was no congestion for 8 hours.
Very nice.
And one more for you. Okay. How do you deal with a sad astronaut?
Show them Star Wars.
You just give them some space.
Very nice.
Well, that's gonna do it for us this week. Good looking people. Thanks for sticking with us, even though we did not enjoy this week's episode as much as we normally do. Hopefully we were goofy enough to keep you around. You can always let us know what you thought of this week's episode by sending us an email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com or across our social media channels at dadsmeetworld across YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or X. We are most active on Instagram, but also on Facebook because they're linked. And they tell me on both of them when we get a comment. And we will respond. We love to respond. So
honestly, Brett, if people are looking for an episode to fall asleep to, this is the one, because I think I started to fall asleep as we're talking about it.
That's right. That's the guidance. Listen to this episode to fall asleep. It's good for our download numbers. So until next time, good looking people, I'll see ya.
Smokey says bye.
You know, I learn so much every week and still be so stupid. Never gonna pee again.
I want to be normal, son.
Ow, that hot. Underpants. Was that duckies? No, garbage.
This is good TV.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.